Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive where we take a stack of your sources and try to pull out the most interesting stuff. Today, we're going to be looking at famous heists.
Ooh, exciting.
It is exciting. It's really cool. We've got a bunch of different articles, historical accounts, even a book from one of the masterminds themselves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a great deep dive. I think what's so interesting about these cases is that they're not just about the crime, you know?
Hmm.
It's the planning that went into it, the audacity of actually pulling it off, and then sometimes these mysteries that stick around for years and years.
Yeah, that's so true. I think about like the art heists where paintings are still missing. It's just crazy.
It is. It really is. It's like we're peeking behind the curtain of some Hollywood movie,
Right.
but this is real life, real consequences.
Right, exactly.
So we're going to be diving into a bunch of different cases. I think some of these will sound familiar to you. We're going to be talking about the Great Train Robbery back in 1960s England.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about a still unsolved art heist from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum.
Love that one.
Then also, we're going to be jumping over to Brazil to talk about a tunnel that was dug into a bank vault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then a mob robbery from an airport, like straight out of a Scorsese film.
Classic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, through these stories, I think we're going to get a better understanding of what makes these heists so interesting to people and what it says about us as people, this fascination with risk and reward.
Absolutely. And, I think it's interesting, too, this question of can you really, truly outsmart the system?
Can you get away with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's set the stage for our first heist. Picture it. 1963. England. This is a time when things are really changing in England, a
Right.
lot of social shifts, and, I feel like there's kind of a rebellious spirit in the air. This is where the Great Train Robbery happens, and it was a super well-planned operation. They targeted a Royal Mail train that was carrying millions of pounds in cash.
I mean, they don't mess around.
No, they go for the big score. And so the gang, there were 15 of them, led by this guy named Bruce Reynolds. They actually used a fake signal to stop the train.
Wow.
Yeah, like they understood how the railway system worked. This wasn't just like a smash and grab. It
Right.
was very well thought out. And so they ended up getting away with 2.6 million pounds, which, if you adjust that for inflation, is like 50 million pounds today.
That's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Big score. They hid out in a farmhouse and it seemed like they just disappeared.
Wow.
But what's really fascinating is that later on, this guy, Bruce Reynolds, he wrote a book about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called The Autobiography of a Thief, which kind of blurs the lines, right? Because now he's profiting off of his crime.
Right. Like, is he a criminal mastermind or is he an author now? What is he?
What is he? It makes you think about how we're fascinated by these kinds of people. Is it the thrill of the act? Is it the fact that it was so well planned?
Yeah.
Or is there like this weird admiration that we have for people who can operate outside of the law?
Right. I mean, I think it's probably a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it is. It's complicated. Because on the one hand, like, it's a crime. On the other hand, you can't help but think, like, that's pretty impressive.
Right. Yeah. You're like, wow, that took a lot of work.
It did. So I don't know, do you find yourself, like, struggling with those feelings when you hear about these things?
Oh, absolutely. I think it just shows how humans can be so clever.
Yeah.
But also how they can do bad things.
It's true. It's that duality.
Totally.
So, okay. From this really well-planned robbery, we're going to jump into a world shrouded in mystery.
Okay.
We're going to go to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. This happened in 1990. Two men dressed up like police officers
Oh, well.
and pulled off one of the most daring art heists in history. They got away with 13 masterpieces worth over $500 million.
What?
We're talking Vermeer, Rembrandt, Degas, gone.
I know. That one's crazy.
Crazy.
That they've never been found.
Never been found.
I know.
I know. It's wild. There's a $10 million reward.
Still.
Still, countless investigations and nothing.
That's crazy.
It's like they just vanished. Some people say it was an inside job. Other people point to like this shadowy world of art theft.
Right.
But nobody really knows for sure.
Yeah.
It's like this big puzzle and we're missing like the most important pieces.
Right.
So imagine these priceless paintings. They're out there somewhere, maybe in a private collection,
Yeah.
maybe lost forever. What do you think happened to them?
I don't know. I go back and forth, like, are they in some, like secret vault somewhere, or did something else happen?
Right.
It's just so intriguing. It really makes you think.
It does. And I think part of what makes this heist so interesting to us is that we don't know what happened.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
could still be unfolding.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so now we're going to go to a heist that involved a level of planning that is just mind-blowing. We're going to go to Brazil, 2005. This is the Banco Central burglary, and it's like straight out of a Hollywood film.
Okay.
So a group of thieves rent a house, and get this, they spend 3 months digging a tunnel to the bank vault.
What? Are you serious?
Dead serious. It wasn't just a hole in the ground either. They reinforced the tunnel, bypassed all the security systems. They were like engineers.
That is wild.
It really is. And you know, the best part is they got away with 160 million Brazilian reais,
Wow.
which is about 70 million US dollars.
Wow.
Gone. No trace.
That is amazing.
I mean, 3 months of digging a tunnel, that's dedication.
Yeah, that's patience too.
So it makes you wonder, right?
Hmm.
Can any vault really be impenetrable if someone is willing to put in the time and the effort?
That's a great question. I mean, it definitely says something about, like, security and control.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how many systems you put in place,
Yeah.
there's always someone who can find a way around them.
Especially if they're clever enough. Okay, from underground tunnels, we're now going up to the world of organized crime. We're going to 1978 New York City. This is the time when the mob's influence is everywhere. This is the setting for the Lufthansa heist. And this one, you probably know from the movie Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was a crew of mob-connected guys.
Right.
And they get away with $5 million in cash and almost another $1 million in jewelry
Big score.
from JFK Airport.
Wow.
It was the perfect crime, inside information, perfect timing, and, you know, they had connections.
Oh, yeah, they had the network?
They had the network, but the aftermath of this heist was not glamorous at all.
Oh, no. What happened?
A lot of people involved ended up dead,
Oh, wow.
which makes you think, you know, maybe they were silenced. The mob wanted to make sure nobody talked.
Right, right.
So it's a really cool story, but it's also got this dark side to it.
Yeah. It definitely reminds you that these stories aren't all, like, fun and games.
No, they're not. There are real consequences. And it makes you think about why we're so interested in these stories. Why are we fascinated by the mob?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's because it seems so, like, glamorous
Yeah.
from the outside. But then when you see what really happens,
The reality.
it's not so glamorous.
So we've covered some pretty wild heists today.
Yeah.
Each one shows how clever people can be, how daring they can be, and what can drive people to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, totally. And I think it makes you think about, like, what drives those individuals, right? Like, is it just the money? Is it something else?
Or is it the thrill?
Yeah, the thrill of it all.
Yeah, good question.
And, you know, I think we'll dig into that as we continue our deep dive.
Yes, we will. And we'll also look at, you know, how do these events change society? What can we learn from them? So stay with us as we keep going with our deep dive into these famous heists. We've got a lot more to cover.
I can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into famous heists.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me too. I love this stuff. So last time we were talking about the mob and the Lufthansa heist.
Yeah, a classic.
Totally a classic.
I was like,
But now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going from those gritty streets of New York and we're heading over to Antwerp, Belgium,
okay.
which is like the diamond capital of the world.
Ooh, diamonds.
Yeah, get ready for some sparkle. We're talking about the Antwerp diamond heist. This happened in 2003. And this one involved a ton of planning, a little bit of charisma, and a whole lot of diamonds.
I'm intrigued.
It's a good one. So the mastermind behind this whole thing was this guy named Leonardo Nodar Bartolo, and he had spent years like building up this reputation as a legit diamond dealer.
Oh, wow.
So he knew how the diamond trade worked, all the security and like the whole world of diamonds. He was in it.
So he was playing the long game.
He was playing the long con. He actually rented an office in the same building as the Antwerp Diamond Center,
Wow.
which is like the heart of the diamond district.
Bold move.
Right. He was right there. And so he would watch people, he would learn their routines, figure out like where the weak spots were in the security,
Just sneaky.
all while looking like he was just a normal diamond dealer.
Wow, he's like a phantom.
He's a phantom. Exactly. And so he was able to get past all this crazy security. I'm talking heat sensors, motion sensors. They even had a seismic sensor to like detect vibrations.
What? Like from an earthquake?
Yeah, like if the ground moved too much.
Wow, they really thought of everything.
Did, but this guy, he's a ghost. So one weekend when security was a little bit lighter, He and his team went in and they cracked over 123 safe deposit boxes.
Boyd?
123.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. They got away with like $100 million worth of diamonds.
No way.
It's crazy. And they did it right under everyone's noses.
That's amazing.
I know. And this is what I love. Okay. This guy, Leonardo, he was so meticulous that he would even throw away his trash in a different city.
Oh, wow.
He didn't want to leave any trace.
That's like next level planning.
It is, like straight out of a spy movie. And the best part, to this day, nobody knows where those diamonds are. Still gone, which just adds to the mystique.
It really does. It makes you wonder where they ended up.
It does. The Antwerp diamond heist, it's one for the books. So meticulous, so successful, and it really shows that if you plan things out well enough, you can exploit the weaknesses in any system.
Absolutely, yeah. It's impressive.
Okay, so we've talked about a mastermind who wanted riches, right?
Right.
But now let's talk about someone who was after something a little bit different. Let's talk about a guy who wanted freedom. We're going to France, and we're going to talk about Pascal Payet.
Right.
This guy escaped from prison not once, not twice, but 3 times.
3 times.
3 times. And each escape was more daring than the last.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he was like a master manipulator. He knew how to find loopholes, how to bend the rules, and he would come up with these crazy plans. We're talking hijacked helicopters, all kinds of crazy maneuvers. This guy was good at getting out.
I bet they like tripled security after each time he escaped.
I would think so.
Wow.
But no. So his first escape back in 1999,
Okay.
a hijacked helicopter landed right in the prison courtyard.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, like in a movie.
That's crazy.
Then in 2001, he uses another helicopter to break out of a different prison. And this time, he helps 3 other inmates escape, too.
What a nice guy.
Right. Sharing the love.
Yeah, spreading the freedom.
Sharing the freedom. And then his last escape, this is in 2007. This is the one that made him a legend. He gets another helicopter, lands it on the prison roof, and takes off with a bunch of his buddies.
This guy's unstoppable.
Right. It's unbelievable. So this story is obviously really exciting.
Yeah.
But it also makes you think about how far people will go to get their freedom back.
Yeah, definitely. It makes you question, like, what is freedom?
Yeah.
And what lengths would you go to?
To get it, right.
Right.
Is it, is he a hero for, like, being so resilient? Or is he just, like, completely reckless and disregarding the law?
Right. Or maybe both.
Maybe both. It's a tough one.
Yeah. And I mean, it also makes you think about, like, how secure are these prisons
Right.
if he was able to escape 3 times? Like,
What's going on?
something's not right.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about diamonds. We've talked about prison escapes. Are you ready for something a little bit different?
Yeah. Hit me.
Okay. We're going to Canada. We're going to talk about the Great Canadian Maple Syrup Heist.
What? Wait, what?
Yeah, you heard that right. Maple syrup.
Who steals maple syrup?
Well, apparently in Canada, it's liquid gold.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's a big deal. So in 2012, this group of, we'll call them syrup bandits, they break into this warehouse.
Right.
And this warehouse belongs to the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers.
Okay.
And they control the global supply of maple syrup,
So this is like Fort Knox for maple syrup.
basically. And these bandits, they were good. They managed to swap out almost 3,000 tons of real maple syrup with water.
What? How do you even do that?
It was a big operation. They had it all planned out, and nobody noticed for months.
That's incredible.
It is. And think about how much maple syrup that is, right?
Yeah, a lot of pancakes.
A lot of pancakes.
Yeah.
So in total, they got away with about $18 million worth of maple syrup.
That's crazy.
It's a lot of sticky fingers.
It is.
So I know it sounds kind of funny, right? Stealing maple syrup.
Yep.
But it actually shows how vulnerable, like, global supply chains can be.
Right.
And how far people will go if they think they can make a profit.
Yeah, definitely. Like, even if it's something as random as maple syrup.
Exactly. So from diamonds to daring escapes and sticky situations, we've seen a lot in this part of our deep dive.
We have. And I think it's so interesting how, like, each heist is so different.
Totally.
But they all kind of have the same things in common, right? Like the planning, the risk.
The risk, the reward.
The reward. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. And next time, we're going to get into the psychology behind all of this.
Oh, interesting.
We're going to look at what makes people want to take these risks. What makes us so fascinated by these stories of outlaws and crime?
I can't wait to get into that.
Me neither. So stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive. We're going to wrap things up and maybe even try to solve some of these enduring mysteries. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. So we've traveled all over the world, right? We've seen so many incredible heists. But before we wrap up, we've got to go back and revisit one more. I know you're going to love this one. It's both captivating and it's still unsolved.
Oh, I love a good mystery.
Oh, yeah, me too. Remember we talked about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist?
Yeah, the one with the art.
With the art, yeah. Two guys dressed up like police officers,
Right.
got away with millions of dollars worth of art, still hasn't been solved. But there's a reason we're bringing it back up.
Yep.
It's not just a cold case. This thing is still going on. There are new clues. There are still investigations happening. And there's still hope that they're going to find these missing masterpieces.
That's amazing. Like, after all these years.
You know, think about those paintings. Vermeer, Rembrandt, Degas, gone. But the FBI, they haven't given up. Back in 2013, they actually said they thought they knew who did it.
Really?
They think it was a group, an organized crime ring in Boston.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they think the paintings were moved to Connecticut and that someone tried to sell them in Philadelphia a few years later. Oh, wow. So they were close. Like, they almost had them.
So close. Isn't that frustrating? To have a lead and then just, it goes cold.
It is. It's like, we were right there.
It really is like a puzzle that's almost done and then you realize you're missing a few pieces.
Exactly. And I think that's why people are still so obsessed with this case.
It's the mystery.
The mystery, yeah. Like, will we ever know for sure?
It's still unfolding.
Yeah.
You got to think. Where are these paintings? Are they in some, like, millionaire's house just hanging on the wall? Or are they, like, tucked away in a vault somewhere waiting to be discovered?
Right. Or maybe something worse happened to them. We might never know.
That's true. We might not. And that's what's so fascinating. The not knowing.
Totally. It keeps the story alive.
It does. And this case, I think, really reminds us that some stories, they don't have an ending.
Yeah, that's true.
They just keep evolving. They
Yeah.
change as new things are discovered.
Right. And sometimes you just have to accept that not everything has a neat and tidy ending. It's true. But it doesn't mean we stop looking. So, as we finish up our deep dive into these incredible heists, I think there are a few things we've learned.
Okay.
It's not just about stealing stuff. It's about pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
testing the limits, figuring out how to get around even the most secure systems.
And it's about people, right? Their motivations.
Yeah.
What drives them to do these crazy things.
Exactly. We've seen it all. Greed, ambition, wanting to be free.
Even just the excitement of the challenge.
Right. It's like a puzzle they have to solve. And these heists, they show the best and the worst of, like, human ingenuity.
That's a good way to put it.
We're clever, but sometimes we use that cleverness for bad stuff.
It's true. But I also think these stories show that people don't give up easily. Like with the Gardner Museum, people are still trying to find those paintings.
That's true. That desire for justice
Wanting things to be set right.
makes us want to solve the puzzle no matter how long it takes.
Exactly.
So even though the world of heists can be pretty dark, it also shows that we can have hope. We don't give up. And I think at the end of the day, that's a pretty good thing to remember.
I agree. And it makes you think, like, what other mysteries are out there? What else haven't we figured out yet?
Oh, there are tons. I love that there's still so much to discover, and that's what makes these deep dives so much fun.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride through some of the most famous heists in history. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and don't be afraid to dive deep.